Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first workshop of cybersecurity management. My name is Anh. I'm a senior lecturer in cybersecurity in School of IT at Deakin. I'm based in Burwood, and I be the tutor for this workshop for this unit. Okay, so very nice to see many people here, and I'm not sure if I recognize any names that I've seen in the year, previous unit, but if you have met me before, hi again. And if you have not, then we have plenty of time to get to know each other. Right. So this is the first week workshop, and usually it should run after the lecture, but because of the holiday yesterday, it's unfortunate that the workshop will go first. And for that reason, I will spend some time to cover the main takeaway from this week's lecture so that we have a common understanding before we tackle the task of the workshop. Okay? And what is the objective of this workshop? This workshop gives you the opportunity to reflect on the content that you learn during the lecture, and it helps you a lot in sort of thinking about the assignment that you have to complete. And a little heads up is that you have 3 assignments, and all of them require writing some report, right? And an important component of the report is a reflection on some of the concept, many of the concepts relevant to cybersecurity management. And in workshops like this, we will go through some use case study, imagined or realistic, and we will use them as a scaffold to think about the concept that we learned during the week. Right? And one thing about cybersecurity management, unlike many other technical subjects, is that there's no single right or wrong answers. Different people may have different views on how to achieve the cybersecurity goals, and that is why discussion is very important. Not only for you to express their own view, their own perspective, but also listen to other people's view as well, because cybersecurity is a very collaborative field, and you will not be alone. You will not be alone in this community. Okay, so if you are together in this unit, the chances are you might run into each other when you go out and work. So yeah, so that is the goal of the workshop, is to give you guys some use case so that give you the platform to discuss, and then we can discuss it all together, right? And another useful thing about this workshop is that it's get you to become familiar with our expectation on what need to be there in the assignments, because the assignments graded by us, right? And each of the tutor, each of the person who grade the assignment will have a very subjective assessment of the work, right? So by working through these activities in the workshop together, so you know about what my expectation are when it comes to assignment, so you can align the report in order to get high mark. So that's the idea. Okay, so for this workshop, this very first workshop, we will provide a very deep dive in the fundamental concept of cybersecurity, and I will talk a bit more about this in a moment. Um, but the key point of this week is about doing vulnerability assessments, right? So the idea behind vulnerability assessment is for you to brainstorm the weakness in the system and the risk associated with different component of the system, and to enumerate all the assets that you need to protect, and what are the risk associated with each of these assets. It's very important. It's the first thing that you need to do um, as a cybersecurity professional. It's a bread and butter of a cybersecurity professional. Um, in particular, given some system, you should be to tear it apart and see what are the weaknesses are and what are the risks with that system. Okay, and so we are always out to find vulnerabilities, and this is very good exercise. Put you in the right mindset. Right, and the outline of this workshop is we will kick off with a very informal get to know each other, and this is very important not only for us to well, to become friends, to know each other, and to create a very relaxing and safe environment, but it also helps you a lot when it comes to assignment 3, because in assignment 3 you will form a group and work on a task as a group assignment, and how you work with the peers would influence the final grade of that assignment as well, because we will be using feedback fruit to do peer reviews. So it's good that you can form the teams as early as you can. Yeah? And the good way to know the teammate is to get to know about what they like and what they dislike. Okay. So after the kickoff, I will cover briefly on the concept that we learned for this week, and so that we all on the same page, on the same terminologies, on the same definitions, and then we can go straight to the realistic scenarios. As I said, these scenarios may be an imagined one. It's not real, but it's give you a good framework to reflect on the different concept that we learn. Okay? Right. So let's get right to it. The task 1 for this week is the introduction. Okay, so more of the personal introduction. And just to break the ice, I will start first, and then maybe I would see from the audience who would like to volunteer. And if it's not enough volunteer, then I would pick a random person from the list, and hopefully you will be able to tell a little bit about yourself. Okay, right. My name is Anh, and I'm originally from Vietnam, and I work as a security researcher, and I teach security as well. My main research interest is in large and distributed systems like the cloud system and distributed database systems and blockchains. And my career aspiration, I no longer have an aspiration, I guess. Maybe my aspiration is to be better in my current career, which is a cybersecurity researcher and teacher. And my experience in IT and cybersecurity is mainly in research and teaching. I want to play in some of the cybersecurity competition, but just couldn't find the time. My hobbies are just reading and playing soccer. My interest, my biggest interest is in supporting Arsenal. Okay, so my team is Arsenal, and I watch almost every single game that I can. Right. So yeah, so this is all about myself, and then I will now hand over to any of you who want to talk about yourself. Daniel, yeah, thanks for volunteer. Please unmute yourself. And
hey guys, Daniel. I'm actually in Sydney, in New South Wales, not in Victoria. My career aspirations, I'm working in cybersecurity at the moment, just doing a system engineer role. After doing some of the units in this course, I'm doing Bachelor of Cybersecurity. I'd really like to get into digital forensics. But yeah, as long as I'm playing in this security space, I'm happy. So I've been working in IT since 2006. So yeah, I'm a little bit old. And yes, so working, I think I've been in security almost 3 years, working for a critical infrastructure company in Newcastle, in New South Wales as well. And if the picture doesn't give it away, my interests and hobbies are solely focused on cars.
okay, yeah. So it's very good to have a working professional here with us, and I will remember you when next time we want to get any view from the industry. Thanks. Next, Ming or Hua. Hi, Ming. Ming Hua, do you want to, yeah, Kendrick. Yeah, Kendrick. Okay, so, okay. So Hua is a biggest football fan too. Not sure which team you're supporting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Hua. Um, okay. I'm hearing a little bit of echo from you, Kachan. So maybe we move on to Karen first, and then we circle back to you. Karen?
Hi,
Hi.
everyone. Yeah, so I currently don't really have any properly defined career aspirations. I've been working I'm a contract manager at the moment for a government agency, and have worked in legal and business affairs style roles for the last 20 odd years, and recently decided to have a bit of a change, and yeah, always had an interest in cybersecurity. So yeah, this is my second unit in the grad cert. So yeah, not much technical experience, but definitely learning a lot, and have an interest in risk management and policy development and things like that. So, which I've been involved in my current and previous roles as well. Not into football that much,
Okay.
but sorry. But yeah, I love music, and yep, got an old dog at home, who I love dearly, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Thank you, Karen. You mentioned that you want some change from the current work in laws and policy, and maybe we need to disappoint you that this unit have a lot of like law and policy content.
Yeah, no, I definitely do have an
Okay.
interest in it in the cybersecurity space.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's still, there are transferable skills and knowledge, definitely, but this is still quite new for me. So
Yeah. That's
yeah.
good. Thanks. Thanks. Um, Kachan, do you want to retry the mic again? Yeah, I think the mic is very fuzzy. So I think I would put you on mute first. Dion? Yeah.
Hey, Anne.
Hi.
Hope you're well.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm currently working as DevSecOps for a large organization, and my career aspiration is to become a malware analyst. Um, and I'm in Melbourne at the moment, and most of the cybersecurity roles are in Canberra and Brisbane, I think, in Australia. That's the trend I've noticed. So in the future, could consider moving interstate. Uh, In terms of like hobbies, it's mostly cricket and going to gym. So that's about it for me. Although I do have a question for you as well.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned you were a security researcher. Is
Yep.
that vulnerability research?
No, it's more on the applied crypto research. Yeah.
Oh, very
more
interesting.
on the defensive side, on the offensive side. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Dion. Chris, Chris, you want to share with us?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Yeah, so my name's Chris. Career-wise, I was an arborist for 7 or 8 years before I left that and worked as a trauma cleaner for a little bit. Did that for a couple of years, and now I'm making my transition into cybersecurity. So, like Daniel and a couple of the others, my particular interests are digital forensics and malware analysis. So I'm sort of going to get a feel for both of those throughout some of these different little units that we do and see if I have a preference.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go from there and see how I'm sort of feeling about it. So, yeah, that's me.
All right. So have you taken those digital forensic unit yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started last trimester, so I did the real world practices and introduction to programming.
Okay.
Yeah, they were really good, and now I'm doing this to sort of speed up the certification, really. So.
Okay. Yep. Thanks, Chris. Marshall.
Thank you. Yep.
Hi.
My name is Marshall. Yeah, I'm Melbourne based, and I've got 5 years experience as a system admin for a crisis management organization. It's quite a broad role, being that we've got a small IT team. So I'm also managing the ISMS. So I'm familiar with ISO 27001 certifications and the audits and all the processes that are involved in that. I'm looking to specialize more in cyber. So rather than having such a broad role, reason taking this is really being more specialized. And I enjoy more the technical side of the work. So aiming towards like a cyber analyst or security architect is ultimately where I'm leading to go with that.
Yep. Thanks, Marshall. I think you'll find the content of this unit very relevant to your current work. Because
definitely.
deal with a lot of these standards and policies.
Procedures, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think the rest of the class would benefit a lot from from the working experience that you guys, like people like you, have from the industry, like how they implement this policy and standards. Yeah. So looking forward for sure sharing with us. Andrew.
Okay.
Hi. Yep. I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. G'day. I'm Andrew. Probably a bit older, in my mid 40s. Had several careers already. Worked in cyber before. Quite a senior manager in large consultancy. Managed cybersecurity implementation for Land 400 and Boeing Wedgetail projects. But very much hands off the technical side. There's more project management in a classified space, and I really was intrigued by what the smarter guys working for me were doing, and found myself in a position where I was fortunate enough to take some time off and do some study, and I'm concurrently finishing up a Masters of Computer Science, and had some spare time over this trimester, so I'm training the grad cert cybersecurity. Not quite sure where I'm going to go with it yet. Prefer the technical side, like the previous gentleman said. So I'm just going to feel my way out and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you, Andrew. Andres, yeah, would you like to share with us?
Hi, name is Andre. I am from Lithuania and I work in IT for almost 30 years now. Primarily, my role was web developer, but for the last 15 years, I'm working as a CTO in several companies in Australia. For this course, my aspiration is to obviously improve my knowledge and my credibility as a CTO. And my end goal, I dream to get a PhD. So as for hobbies, probably I cannot say much hobbies I have outside of IT. I do enjoy books, movies, traveling.
Okay. Oh, wow. You have a vast well of experience there, Andres. 30 years working in the industry. Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Very impressive. I'm sure we will learn. We'll be able to learn a lot from you too. Connaught.
Hey everyone,
Hi.
my name's Connor.
Hi.
Yeah, career aspiration wise, I'm working towards hopefully running my own business, preferably doing, cyber consultancy. And the way I see it is, the world is becoming so much more interconnected that it's not just going to be commercial clients. Eventually, we're going to have smart homes and everything like that. So part of the even build process for homes is going to be, providing people with how to set up their home networks and that sort of thing. Experience-wise, I'm approaching the 10-year mark of service within the state government across multiple states in Australia. I specialised previously in physical and electronic security controls, and then a couple of years ago, I transitioned into cyber. Currently in Tasmania, heading the cybersecurity efforts for the Department of Treasury and Finance down here, and I'm moving back to Queensland and Brisbane in about 2 weeks to rejoin Queensland government and start going from there. So yeah, a fair bit of experience across both blue teaming and purple teaming in cyber. Like I'm E8 certified to perform Essential 8 audits and that sort of thing. Done a few courses here and there, but it's it's an industry where you just got to be prepared to keep learning. So everything we learn this year will be irrelevant next year.
Okay.
And yeah, hobbies wise, I like my motorbikes. I like to just get out where I can, but I pretty much live and breathe cyber. So that's me.
Wow. Thank you, Connor. I hope you will miss the weather in Melbourne when you move to Brisbane.
Yeah. Well, in Hobart at the moment. So
Okay, Babak. Yeah, you want to share with us?
Yeah, thanks, Zine. I'm Babak, and my career aspiration is essentially move into cyber engineering and over time to cyber consultancy. My background was working for cybersecurity vendors in the sales side of things, and over time I realized I enjoy the technical sessions more than the commercial, so decided to make a career switch. Currently, I'm working at Vocus Telecom on the network side of things, and hoping to transition into a cyber role over time, and hopefully this master's will help with that. And yeah, my interests are hiking, reading books, movies on occasion, and yeah, just going out and about with the missus. And yeah, that's it. Great to connect with you all.
Thank you, Babak. Wow. Thanks everyone for sharing. I mean, uh, from hearing from okay. Senia, yeah, please. I don't think we can hear you very well. Okay. Sneha, I don't think we can hear you very well. Maybe there's some problem with our mic. Okay. Okay, so while we're waiting, Yanxing?
Yep. Can
Hi.
everyone hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. My name is Yang Xing, and I am currently working as a full-time employee for the federal government in Canberra, focusing on finance and budgeting. Also my background is in finance. I'm really interested in cybersecurity, and that's why I'm here. So I'm hoping to expand my knowledge and potentially transition into a new career in cybersecurity. Same in terms of hobbies, I would like to say that I enjoy playing badminton and basketball whenever I get the chance. So I'm looking forward to learning with all of you and sharing the knowledge or the experience into cybersecurity together. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Yanxing. Anyone else would like to share a bit about yourself? Still very first week, so we take it easy. The first assignment is not due until 3 weeks time. So it's a lot of time to get to know each other. So I saw from the chat, there's a lot of Kendrick has studied a lot about like cybersecurity units here, and Paul has an experienced software development, and his brother-in-law follow Arsenal. Okay, that's great. James, he's worked in an SOC. Wow, that's really good. As a network engineer and a diploma in cybersecurity is great. Kachan is a QA manager. It's very relevant to cybersecurity. She has a Kachan has a giant dog. Somehow it's very gentle too. Nubs, okay, yeah, and Chris. Yeah, so like Chris said, it's cool having so many people from so many different backgrounds like joining in the same unit here. I think this unit is really about for you guys sharing the perspective and drawing from the own experience to teach us, to teach everyone about the field. It's not about us like forcing some view on you, but as some of you work in the field before in like in management field, there's no one size fit all solution to everyone, right? So every problem when you look at by different people will have a different solution, and I'm really glad that we have such a diverse cohort from like so many different backgrounds here. We have a deeply technical people and the people who work at very high level at the management level, people from the government, people from the enterprise, from the industry, and students, and and some people were still like trying to figure out what they like, right? So it's really good, and I'm looking forward to learning from all of you. Okay, so really, it's just now we have a lot of topic, and all of the activities are centered around discussion. So I would really appreciate if you guys would jump in and to offer the opinions and perspective or comments on any of the topic that we discuss. Right? There's, as I said, there's no absolutely right answer here, and the only question is how you explain the line of reasoning and to argue that your solution is reasonable, because one of the misconception about cybersecurity is all about attacking and defense, right? It's a very binary. Whether you attack the system, you get the whole of the system, or you successfully defend the system, red team and blue team. But cybersecurity practice is more about management. It's about risk management, because you cannot secure the system all the time against all the possible adversary. And what make a company better than the other is really in the decision they make on the priority that they make on what assets that are more valuable to them, and how much resources that they put in to protect that resource. Okay, and yeah, so again, this unit is not purely technical. So it's about managing an asset in a company, but this asset is not like many other physical assets. It has something very unique. It's go beyond the company boundary, and it's sort of like cutting across many layers of the companies too. Yep. So hi Ryan. Yep. Very nice to meet you. So Ryan will be with us too, or he just want to say hello. Hi Ryan, you want to say hello to the class?
Over the microphone or just on chat?
Oh yeah, we can see you too. So
Awesome. It's so lovely to meet you all. I'm excited for the future studies with everyone. Thank you.
oh, okay, right. Right. Okay, so the first task is done with. Let's move on to the more administrative stuff. So I would quickly cover some of the main administrative points about this unit. And if you have any question, please either unmute yourself and interrupt me, or just raise a hand, and then I can attend to your question. Okay, so this unit, let's talk about the teaching team. There is Jamal, who's the unit chair. He's authorities in cybersecurity management, and he's also authority in any decision regarding this unit, right? So he can override any of the statement that I make regarding to this unit. And if you have any question about the assignments or any logistic, anything related to the logistic of this unit, then please email him. Some of the topics cover, you can see here. This is a tentative schedule. This first week, we will cover a very fundamental concept on cybersecurity and cybersecurity management. And after that, we move on to the law, and like the law that applied to Australia and international as well. And then move on to governance and strategic planning for security. So this is how the company implements the law, like try to comply to the law. And next we move on to policy, which is how the this governance and strategic planning for security is implemented. And then security program is a lower level implementation of the security policy, right? And next we talk about planning for contingency, because this always help to plan for the worst, which always happen, which we always be expecting attack any day, at any time. So there are 2 week on risk management, which tells you how important risk management is in the context of cybersecurity. And as I said, cybersecurity management is about managing risk. Okay, it's not about hiring the most expensive like team to like blue team to defend you against attack. It's about weighing the benefit and the cost of different solution. And then at the third part, we talk about security, some of the real models that you use in practice, and some topic on maintenance and digital forensics. Okay, so management of digital forensic, because digital forensic is an important cybersecurity asset, and there's a different way to manage them compared to the other assets. Right, so the ULO, you can find it in the unit site, and I'm not gonna go much into that. So yeah, the teaching team, he's a chair, Jamal is a chair. I'm responsible for the Burwood and the online cohort. And at the GIFT CT in India, there's Hidroy and Swati, and Ali is another tutor who's be handling the Sri Lanka and Burwood cohort. The main platform for us to communicate is via Teams, but of course you can use email as well. So you can seek peer support by posting messages on Team. Right, and for any queries you can send to Jamal first, if it's related to the unit in general, or if anything specific to the workshop, you can send it to me. And here are some guidelines on the response tab. Okay, so going to assessment, this is the most important part. There are 3 assessments. So first 2 are individual, and they are report. So for those of you who are familiar with OnTrack, just to be clear, we are not using OnTrack for this unit, right? We go back to the traditional assessment mode, which is via Cloudicant. What it means here is that we are very strict in terms of extension. So if you submit late, then the penalties will be applied, right? So please make sure that if you need extension submitted well in advance. Right, and the first two assignment count for 60% of the grade, and the assignment 3 is a group assignment. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a very good idea to form the group as early as you can by just getting to know the peers through workshop like this. This group assignment account for 40%, and we use feedback fruit for peer review. So very important to demonstrate the ability as a team player, okay? Because the peers' feedback may influence our final grade of this assignment too. There's a video to watch about feedback fruit. Extensions. I think when it comes to Cloud Dicken, most of the unit, I think all of the unit that use Cloud Dicken for assessment, they have the same same guideline on extension. Yeah, so the content of this unit is based, I think, mainly on this book, Management Information Securities. You can borrow a copy from the library, I believe. And that's it. And expected commitment from you is 150 hours because it's mostly come from reading the material and thinking about the material and working through the workshop activities. Because this assignment to complete them is not sufficient just to read the slides. Okay, you have to think critically about the questions, and it's all counts, and they all count towards 150 hours here. All right. Okay, so let me see if there's a few questions in the chat. Okay, so we'll be recording. This one is being recorded at the moment, I believe. Right? Is this being recorded? Yeah, it is being recorded, and
Yep.
it will be available. It'll be available.
Sorry, Anne.
Yep.
Will you be recording them every week?
Yes,
Okay,
it'll be recorded every week. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so is a suggested group size. I think there will be some guideline on how many people are expected. There should be a minimum group size number, but I would defer that decision to Jamal. Okay, I think I will remind him to put that guideline in as soon as he can, but at the moment I can give you a straight answer for that. But definitely a group of 1 is highly discouraged. So it's better to form a group of at least 2 or 3. Okay. Okay, so Karen already said that no more than 4 according to assignment instruction. So if it's already said in the assessment, then yeah, let's follow that. But I think there should be some minimum group size as well. But let me check with Jamal. Does 150 hours including assignment completion time? So this 150 hours is like our estimate only. Okay, you don't have to clock in or out on every hours that you work on this unit, but this is a reasonable amount of time that you should spend in order to get a like high grade. When will the course material for later weeks be available? Okay, so this one, Jamal will handle this. I think he would put it. I think the latest is before the lecture of that week. Right. So if you are in week 2, so at least the material should be available in week before Tuesday. Yeah. Could you assign group? I'm not sure at the moment. The system can assign at some point. I mean, I did run this unit 2 years ago, and the way that it works that I run it then was to let people form group by themselves first, and then the remaining who couldn't find a group will be assigned randomly by the system. But as I said, let's wait for more instruction. Could I ask if the assessment are the same? The number of assessment are the same and the percentage are the same, but the question might be slightly different if you are undergrad and compared to if you are a master. Yeah. Yeah, so Connor said that if you're already a member of ACS, you can log lecture and practical hours as CPD hours. Okay. Yeah, so this is related to some certificate. So Connor, this hours that you log, what is this used for? To give certificate to people?
These are for the Australian Computer Society. So for most people, when they finish their bachelor's, they'll be eligible to be a member of the Australian Computer Society.
Okay.
But for some of us who are already in the industry, if we're, sometimes your workplace may even have you signed up for it already, or it might be part of your employment, especially across Australia now with the MySophia framework that's going across. So, yeah, I found out a little earlier this year that all of your lectures and courses through Deakin, so long as it's a structured course, it's eligible to be logged as continuing development hours.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, I didn't know about that, but it's very good information. Yeah. So if you guys want membership letter, then I think this be a good thing to do. I guess you would only be able to log it after you complete this unit, right? And I think you cannot log 1,000 hours, for example, for this unit. But I think as long as it's specified in the unit guide, somewhere that is expected is 150 hours, and I think it's reasonable to log 150 hours. And so Karen asked how far in advance that I recommend you form groups and start working on that assignment. I mean, if you find people like-minded people like you who want to start assignment 3 as soon as possible, then I form it yesterday if you can. And it's easy to log in the group as fast as you can because you can always approach the unit chair, say that, okay, I want to work with these people to form a group, and I think that'll be okay. Okay, so the group assignment, you can only group with the people of the same cohort, right? So master student can only group with master students. So that's why we always have the same question. Yeah. Yeah. So a group based on grades. I cannot answer. I cannot give a affirmative answer to this, but I think it's unlikely it based on grade because it would be too late for us to wait until the release of assignment 2's grade to group you into the group for assignment 3. All right. Is there any other question as a special strength student? Can you have a special expecting the student based on the class? Either we do have, but we cannot share that with you. But I think the best way to find out who's in the cohort is to talk to the peer or to go on Teams and yeah, go on Team and ask like who's in this group, for example, who want to form a group. Yep. What is the reading for? Yep, for this week. I think in this topics here, and you can see from this table for each of this topic, there's a mapping on the chapter of the book. So yeah, so it's just following the books. Yep. So I think you missed it, but I think Jamal's supposed to speed up this week one in week 2. Right. So it will fall on me a big to cover some of this fundamental right now, because it's important to cover them before we do the activities. Right. Okay. So any other questions on the logistics? Right. I think what time is a lecture? I think you should get an invite for that on the team channels, right? I think it's on Tuesday. I think look out for the you can look into the team channels and then see there's an online lecture channel where you can. Yep. Okay. I see some messages asking for forming group already. I think it's a bit early. I think. Yep. Instruction from Dipen. Hi, Dipen. Yep. Thanks for sharing the experience. Yep. Thanks. Okay. So let me move on to some of the fundamental concept for this week. Okay, so you don't need any introduction on the importance of cybersecurity, right? Cybercrime and cyber criminals are everywhere. So what is cybersecurity management about? So it's about focusing on the bigger pictures and strategic thinking, leadership and management, and legal and ethical considerations, right? So it's all about management here. But as I said, cybersecurity is unlike many physical assets that you have to protect, because it's sometimes it's very the asset that you protect is very intangible. It's very hard to define, right? And the landscapes just keep changing constantly. So the management like techniques have to adapt to that context. But yeah, so cybersecurity management is about managing cybersecurity. And at the core of it, you have to understand what it is that you are trying to protect. Right? Cybersecurity is have to be defined with respect to the assets that's being protected, because different assets will require different cybersecurity strategy. The way that you're protecting the laptop is different to the way that you're protecting the phone, different to the way that you're protecting the motorcycle or the car. Right? So different assets have different values and a different risk and different attack surface, and we will learn more about this later. Yeah, so the assets is anything owned and of value. It has to be of value, right? So if this thing is not very important to you, then you should not spend a lot of resource in securing them. So the three pillar of cybersecurity is not only the technology. Okay, so the technology and the people and the process. So the people is the weakest link in cybersecurity, so you have to be considered. And the process is there to get the people to work with technology. So all of this one work very well together. You have to consider all three of them when thinking about cybersecurity. Yeah. So if you're taking a lot of like technical units, then you may only look at it from the technology point of view, or if you're coming from pure management perspective, and you can think about people and process, right? But cybersecurity involves all three of them. So some common terms that you will see whenever you read news and article on cybersecurity is there are vulnerabilities, threats, exploits, attack vectors, and attack. Right. So vulnerabilities are the flaws in the assets or in the thing that you are protecting. Okay. So it's a flaw in the assets that potentially expose them to risk. The threats is an event that affect the assets in a negative way. And exploit is a way to turn the vulnerability into like damage. An attack vector is a method that the attacker used to break the whole system, to compromise the system. And attack is a general term to say something that causes impact to the system. Okay, right. I think many of these terminologies are very well defined here, but let's talk a little bit about the attack surface. Okay, so attack surface in this picture is defined as a sum of all possible attack vectors in a system or organization. So it depends on the definition of what attack vector is. And an attack vector is defined as a path or means by which a hacker can gain unauthorized access. Right. So as I said, this definition is not like the what is called the golden definition of what attack surface are and what attack vectors are. And let me pause here and ask some of you working professionally in the audience, what do you define as the attack surface? So in the system that you work with, when you talk about attack surface, what do you usually refer to, and can you give us an example? Connor, yeah.
Yeah, so attack surface, at least in my history, it's typically technology based a lot of the time, because you're looking at things like basically how much width you've got within your network and your organization, how many people can access it, things like access and how people can get into your network. But then you've also got a lot of your hardware based attack surface where, depending on what sort of infrastructure you're using. But it's also now migrating a bit more away from technical. And as we hear in the news all the time about like supply chain risks and stuff like that, now the attack surface is really becoming a bit of a gray area because it's starting to extend so far out that you're sort of losing sight of where's the boundaries between a lot of things.
Yep.
But that's just my experience with it so far.
Okay, so what is your experience on attack vector then? Have you encountered any attack vector, a real one in the line of work?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of vectors that we see typically is phishing attempts. That's a common one.
Yeah, we're all familiar with that.
Yep, we're all familiar with that. Anyone who's a big, I personally don't use TikTok, but for anyone who is big across TikTok, like I'm sure we've all heard of the Flipper Zero and some of the other toys that are coming out, they're gadgets that make it a bit easier for pen testers to do their job, but they're also used maliciously. And then we're always hearing the news about nation state actors and that sort of stuff. But attack vectors as well, a big one is, people. As you said, a huge part of it is people and training and having your staff be aware of how they can possibly be exploited. I think that's one of the hardest attack vectors to really deal with in a business sense.
Yep. So the people in this context become the cybersecurity mule for delivering attacks to the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So Andres have a good definition here when he say expose elements of the network, including people. Would you care to elaborate more on what you mean by expose element? Expose as opposed to what? Unexposed?
Exposed meaning something which can be reached from outside by attacker.
Yeah. I think this is very good definition. I think my understanding is along that line too. Like you can think of this as the API that the system expose to the public, right? So as you access some of the software, they give you a lot of like API, a lot of like knob to control. So all of this thing that you can do, that you can interact with the system, become an attack surface. Because whatever you can interact with it, then the attacker can interact with it too. And that is one way to understand it. Yeah, I think this is a very good definition, and it's including people as well. So yeah, So people, yeah. So my assets from Optus incident attack vectors were unauthorized API. Yeah. So this is a very good example of the attack vector because it's capture like how the attacker, like by what method the attacker gain access to the system. Right? So this definition here is the attack surface is a sum of all the possible attack vector is also correct, right? But I think the definition that Andres give here is more relatable. I think if you think of a system as a black box, it's expose some of this interface to the world, then those exposed interface are the attack surface. But whatever inside it is not. Okay. So Chris say that's attack surface related, I guess. Rotating password in the workplace. Yep. So this attack surface is more on the policy, I guess, but it's definitely relevant to the attack vector that we talk about here. But this is very interesting topic. We would definitely come back to this in a later, it's a later lecture when it comes to policy. Okay, so this is about attack surface, and the main principle in cybersecurity is good security means that you have a small attack surface. So a principle of good design in security is to minimize the attack surface, right? To restrict access to the system as much as business allows, right? So you don't open the door to the system to everyone. As long as you try to restrict it a little bit, then you effectively have a very small attack surface. And if you have a small attack surface, the chance is that it's difficult for the attacker to get in. And it means that you can understand the attack surface more and to protect it better. It's like if you have a house and you know what is where the doors are, then you can put locks on those doors. But if you don't, there's a hidden door somewhere else, then there's some part of the attack surface that you don't know about, then you're in big trouble. Right. So there's some discussion on password rotation and how NIST had changed the password complexity this year. I'm not very familiar with this story. So Daniel or Chris, would you like to enlighten us on about this story?
Yeah, I'm happy to go. Yeah, NIST basically just changed some of the password recommendations because it was always, rotate regularly 30, 60 days. And now they're saying only if you think your credentials have been compromised, change your password, which I think is, wild. Maybe for a personal account, but in the enterprise, I think that's outrageous.
Why would that be outrageous? Because it's too much cost to implement, or
yeah, like if you're by the time you think your account might have been compromised, damage is done. I feel so. I think you should be rotating your password every, at least 60 days, and then you don't find out the hard way that your account's been compromised that way.
So what is the changes to now? So instead of 60 days, it changes only when compromised.
Only if you think think your account's been compromised.
Okay, it's interesting.
I think they've implemented that to help resolve or address some of the people issues. So if there's you're not changing your password every 365 days, you remember that password, for longer periods of time. You don't have to keep changing it and try and remember a new complex password of 15 characters, or I think they're recommending 11, but sorry, the minimum is 11 or something like that, but they're recommending about 15 characters.
Wow, 15 characters, really hard. And well, lucky that Dickens is not enforcing this policy. But yeah, I agree that it's strange that it put the responsibility to the enterprise to to say when they suspect the password has been compromised. It's a lot of work instead of like just they have a simple policy, say change the password every 90 days. I understand that it's quite frustrating, but it's easier to implement than you have to find out somehow that the password has been compromised. Okay, so that is NIST problem. Right, and so next topic is who carry out this attack. Okay, we have a lot of fun on try to model our attackers. Yeah, so what do we call threat modeling? So many of the systems fail, the security of the system fail because they underestimate the threat actor, like they underestimate the capability of the attackers. And many of the company, on the other hand, suffer some loss because they overestimate what the attackers is capable of, right? So if you underestimate, then it means you risk being compromised. But if you overestimate, then you pay a lot. You pay a lot of resources to secure something which is not very valuable, or which have very low chance of being attacked. So it's a very good idea. It's very important, not only good idea, but important to understand who the practical attackers are. And in general, there's different group of attackers. Could be cyber criminals who are motivated by money, and yeah, and activists who are motivated by political or social causes, and could be the competitors. So competitor in the industry who are motivating by just by money, I guess, or by competition. And I think the most difficult one to deal with these days is state actors. So if the attack is sponsored by some government somewhere, then yeah, I think they have a lot of resources, and it's very difficult to defend against. So the importance of knowing the attackers is like knowing the enemies, right? So you have to know what is the attackers capable of, and to put in an appropriate amount of resource to protect the system. And once you know the attackers and you know what assets you want to protect, then you can come to select the solution. Right? So what solution that you can deploy? It can be technical solution. You can spend a lot of money buying expensive firewalls or intrusion detection systems, deploying like very high-end encryptions, antivirus software, and access control system. So yeah, many of these technical solutions, they claim so to solve a lot of a problem, but they don't often live up to their claim. And what is worse is that if you put two systems together, two systems who are supposed to be secure together, I think the overall system become insecure, right? It's not like I buy a very expensive antivirus and I put very expensive firewall. Then then what I get is the system which is secure by adding the security of these two systems together. Many of the time, when you put two systems together, then there's more security problem that arise because of their interaction. So the technical solution is not a silver bullet. Another control type, which is often overlooked in cybersecurity, is physical security. Yeah, so you might many people think that cybersecurity everything can be solved by software, but it's not. Sometimes you just put a we put a physical lock into the room or data center. That would deter a lot of attackers. Okay, so a CCTV camera or biometric access control. And anything physical is as good, if it's not better than the software security. Yep. So firewall don't mean the things if I can walk in and take the service security. Yeah. So yeah, that is true. If you like this, if you don't have a lock on the data center, then all of the technical solution is nothing. And administrative is about managing people, right? So administrative is about drafting a policy that prevent people from making mistake or prevent people from intentionally doing something bad, right? So they are usually the first line of defense. If you have a very good policies, then you avoid a lot of incidents. For example, if there are some policy that you can draft that avoid people from clicking on the malicious email, for example, then you avoid like you avoid then you would avoid all the possible phishing attack. Okay, so yeah, so administrative control is very effective too, and I think they usually deploy the first line of defense. So they are in the form of policies, access control, and incident response team, and training and audit. So yeah. Right. And foundation of access control. So access control is one of the important techniques, I think fundamental techniques in information securities. Um, Access control means that you give only the access to the right people, right? So it involves some step like identification, authentication, authorization, and accountability. So this is some of the basic concept in access control. We will spend more time on how the access control system are deployed in practice. But yeah, so that is some of the concept that we cover for this week. I would pause here and see if you guys have any question or you want to discuss anything related to the content. Yeah, I see the word zero trust has been thrown around here too. Wow, it's it's well, it's fine. It's way everywhere. I think we will have a chance to talk about zero trust sometime in the future. So, Nobs, yeah, you raise a hand.
Hi, I hope everybody hears me.
Yep, we can.
Because I used to work, if you, I don't know if you are familiar with Trend Micro.
Yep. Yeah, we
Uh,
all buy product from Trend Micro
Because I
sometime
used
in.
to work in that company for like 2 years, from 2019 to 2020. Then what I have observed is that once you installed the antivirus software, it comes with its package that it already modifies the security features of the firewall. But I might say that if you install an antivirus software, doesn't mean that you're already way too secured. The device is way too secure because based on my experience, there are a lot of new viruses and threats that comes each and every day. So it needs to be classified, and it needs to be deployed on the at the back end of the system for the antivirus software for it to detect on the the device.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Nob. It's good to hear someone who work for an antivirus company who say that antivirus might not be as effective. Yeah.
Well,
But
somehow it has a downside, but mostly it's an advantage to have like antivirus software.
yeah, I think it's a valuable tool. I just wish that they don't charge so much money for for the software. That's all. But yeah, it's definitely useful, especially in detecting like known vulnerabilities. And to be fair, many of the systems on the internet are not always up to date. So antivirus was like would catch
Yes,
many of those systems. Yeah.
yes, because I think on a weekly basis, we encounter a lot of new formats of viruses
Mm,
and malwares that try to to harm devices, maybe phone, and laptops, servers as well. So that's why our antivirus software needs to be updated from time to time.
yeah. And software like Trend Micro, they don't auto update. I
They
thought there
do.
is.
As far as I can remember, they provide an update, a weekly update. But if on worst case, like say for example, we encountered on the spot malware or virus, so we had to classify it. We had to classify it on designated teams, and they will be able to deploy it at the back end of the software.
Mm, okay. Yep. So that is a good story to share about a technical solution. And I think most of us familiar with the administrative solution, right? So wondering if anyone have a good story to share about physical security measures that they have have encountered in their job.
Yeah, I've got I can add to that.
Yeah.
So with regarding physical stuff, so like as I said before I migrated into cyber, I specialized in CCTV, access control systems, all that sort of stuff, biometrics, card readers, RFID, all that jazz. That's what really, it was around the time that the Mirai botnet started, where it started infecting CCTV cameras over in the US. That's what really prompted my transition into cyber. Some really fun things that I've found over the past with like physical and security systems is that a lot of them are severely out of date. Like it's been really, they really need to get integrated with modern cyber practices to be effective now. For example, there was one time where I found some some PIRs, sorry, so the motion detectors that you have in your rooms. A certain manufacturer who was creating these motion detectors. So these are detectors that sense both motion and heat, right? And they used an AND gate. So they were using AND logic to trigger the detector. So, it had to have motion and heat. So we demonstrated at a security convention that you could go full Metal Gear Solid on it and just put a cardboard box on yourself, and you'd be able to walk around in front of the cameras and they wouldn't go off because it
So,
couldn't detect the heat. So
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna put tinfoil all over the body and walk
yeah,
around.
yeah, well, you could do the same thing.
Okay.
And I think that's that's an example of some of these dated technologies that they're critical to cyber, but they're not really updated or kept. They've never received as much attention as the advances that we've seen in like in our normal computer IT network. So I think we'll certainly see over the coming 5 to 10 years, you'll see this big blend of cyber physical systems where they all start joining.
Yeah, I think if I remember one detail from the Mirai botnet is that because all those physical devices have the same password, default password, that's why they exploit.
Yeah, and the amount of
Can easily
security
spread.
panels, that are the same, you can literally Google the installer passwords that they're packaged with, and when they're installed, you really want to hope the person who's putting it in changes that.
But since you mentioned the experience with CCTV cameras, I'm just curious, like whether CCTV camera actually work in the sense that can it? I mean, without a human to look at all of this footage, like constantly, like be aware of what's happening in all the screen. I mean, most of this many system deploying any sort of AI or machine learning to detect any intrusion, or still rely purely on human?
Yeah, well, that's a really good point, and that's something that, you know, from a business perspective, that you've got to manage with your risk management, because it's very similar to, you know, the details around the Medibank breach and stuff. Even if you've got a SIEM source solution in place to monitor your network, if you're getting alerts but no one's actioning it,
yeah,
you're not gonna catch it. And the same goes with your CCTV. Like, what's the point of having a CCTV system if you're not going to have someone actually watching it?
Yeah.
When they need to be watching it. It doesn't have to be 24/7, but even after hours, it would be, you know, it's a business risk that you've got to try and argue for there, to say, hey, we need to spend some money to get someone watching this, or you accept the risk that you're going to miss it.
Yep, I think we all seen on movies where like there's some good guys sitting in rows and rows of CCTV, and somehow this system somewhere pop up say alert, 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 and it just seemed quite far-fetched to me that there's some actually a good machine learning system can detect such a be like such an alert, some anomaly across so many camera at the same time. Yeah, it's good to know that it's not real yet, and it's only in the movies. Okay, so Nobs, your hand is still up. Do you have another question or comments, or is it still from last time?
Oh, nothing. Sorry.
Okay, all right, good. Okay, so we cover technical control, administrative control, and physical control. Okay, that's it. So if no more question or comment, then let's move on to the case study for this week workshop. But there's another comment here. Let's say that it's all about defending depth and layer security. Yes, I think this is a very nice keyword. It's a very nice point that you drive home here. Is that security have to be done in layers, right? Protection in layers. There's no one size fit all thing, and you just put multiple lines of defense and hoping for the best. Yeah, and this is a good point that these layers have to be quite independent too, right? So even though if you have multiple lines of defense, but if it's from the same company, then it's not very useful if that same company got broken. Yeah, so that's good. That's good point too. Yeah. Okay. So this week case study is about ATM, right? So ATM, as in like I think many of us use ATM a lot until many years ago. I think many people are not using the ATMs this day, where we have all the like the cashless payment, but the ATM is still there, and we will take a look at the security of the ATM system. So ATM is a system by itself, right? It's connected to the bank, and it connected to the other bank as well, and it's provide the interface to the user. And inside the ATM, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of cash. There's very valuable assets there. So this task basically asks you to think about this system and identify the valuable assets that need to be protected by the system, and think about the security properties of that asset. And from that security properties and from that assets, try to brainstorm to enumerate all the possible risks or all the possible attacks or possible problem with that system. Okay, so consider a Zoya Bank's automated teller machine. I'm not sure whether this bank actually exists, but let's assume that it does. And there's a machine in a shopping center. Not sure whether this shopping center exists either, but let's assume that it does. And the bank customer can provide a PIN and a physical card to the ATM to withdraw and deposit fund or check the account balance and other information. Okay, so this is a setting. This is a scenario that you have to work with. And the first task is to identify, to fill in this table, to identify the asset name and what it means when we talk about the CIA triad of that asset. So for those who are not familiar with the triad, it's just like the pillar of information security, right? So these are the properties of information that you want to protect in terms of security. You don't want the attacker to break any of these properties. Confidentiality means that the content is hidden, is secret. And availability means that, yeah, it's available, it's functional when you need it. And integrity means that it's functioning as expected, right? It means that there's we know a set of expected behavior, and integrity means that the system follow that set of expected behavior. There's no surprise. There's no surprise in the behavior there. Right, and if you have a quick peek at assignment 1, you will see a very similar table there, where this table is very useful to understand what assets that you have and the properties related to security property related to those assets, right? So the task asks you to complete this table by identifying these properties. And what we're looking for at each of these cells is what it means for this assets to have these properties. For example, in this cell, in this cell of ATM machine and confidentiality, what we're looking for is the explanation of what confidentiality means for the ATM machine. Okay, and availability for the PIN code, for example, then what we're looking for is an explanation of what availability means for the PIN code. Okay, the PIN code itself, what availability of a PIN code means to you. And after you have filled in this table, then these are the discussed question for critical thinking. So you can think about answering this question. I think the interesting one is, for example, question 2. Of all the 3 properties, which one you think is the most important for a given asset? For example, take a PIN code. What do you think is more important? Confidentiality, integrity, or availability? Okay, so this is something for reflection, for discussion. And another question is, what's the potential consequences of neglecting any of these 3? Okay, so it's about which one is the most important, which one is the least important, and what happened if you sacrifice one of these. Okay, so this is task 3.1. The way it works is that I would just quickly go to this task to help you understand what we are asking for, and then you guys spend a few minutes or 10-15 minutes to think about this question, and then we can discuss together. Okay, so if this is a physical workshop, then I will split people into different groups, but I think here maybe it's better that we can just for the first week, maybe I'll try it for everyone to jump in to the discussion. And so we operated one big group. Okay, so this task 3.1 is about filling this table. Task 3.2 is filling another table. Okay, and this time we're going a bit deeper on not listing the property anymore, but thinking about the threats, thinking about the vulnerability, about what could go wrong with each of these assets, right? What could be the potential problem with this machine? What could be the potential problem with the PIN code? And what bad thing could happen with the ATM machine? What bad thing could happen on the card and the PIN code? And exploits mean that, well, exploit here in this context means, let's go back to the exploit, what the exploit means, so that we are consistent when it comes to the terminology. So exploit is a tool or system used to leverage the vulnerability. So in this table, when it comes to exploit, then you can sort of discuss the method that is used to turn this vulnerability into into real damage, for example. So what the attacker could use to exploit these vulnerabilities. Okay. But if you have a different view of what you interpret exploits here as, then please share with us. You might have a better, I mean, your interpretation may be better here. Okay, so once you fill in this table, there's some set of questions for you to think about, like how would you determine the root cause of a vulnerability? So yeah, so this require you to think a bit deeper. In this table, you list some vulnerability that you think is there, but this question asks, like, how would you validate your thinking, right? How would you actually make sure that this vulnerability is actually there? So yeah, it's interesting. Okay, there's an interesting question in the chat. Is that related to the assignment? Yes, they're not exactly like the assignment, but they structure in a similar way, and yeah, they ask similar things, right? Similar things, and if you can complete this access activities, if you really think about this question, then it will help you when it comes to the assignment, especially you know what is expected. Okay, so that's how it helps. Yeah, I will come back to the question about the rubric later. Okay, so task 3.3 is similar, where we dig a bit even deeper on the vulnerability and exploit, but here we talk about attack vector as well, so it's even more specific. So I think for this week, for the sake of time, I don't think we have time to go to task 3.3 and 3.4. And it means that in the next 10 minutes, yeah, can you please think about task 3.1, filling this table and this table. Okay, and then after that, then I can ask you guys some question about what you think about this cell, what do you fill in this cell, and then see. Then you would be amazed on how different people think differently from you. That's experience that I have had in the other workshop today. I think this one table is very different opinions, very different views, very interesting too. Okay, so let's fill in this table and this table for the next 10 minutes, so that we can have the next 10 minutes to discuss them. Okay. Yeah, have fun. And let me see if I have some question here in the chat that I can answer. Okay, so James asked, mentioned the rubric. I think it's coming up. I think Jamal may be working on it, so he would release it as soon as it's available. But remember, whatever rubric that we have is only very high level. It's very descriptive, right? And yeah, just do the best. My recommendation is not to follow the rubric strictly, but do the best.
Just to confirm, are we doing both tabled right now or one at a time? Sorry, you're on mute.
Hi, yes, you can do both of them, and then we can discuss both of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I hope you have done some brainstorming. Yeah, let's start with this table then. What do you think ATM machine integrity mean? What is our interpretation of integrity for the ATM machine? Feel free to unmute yourself and speak up, or type it in the chat.
I think it's how machine is accurately functioning according to the specifications. So it can be tempered, can be broken, can be hacked.
Yeah. So for this type of question, we are looking for a bit more concrete example, like what an example of thing that shouldn't happen for integrity.
So it can be either physical manipulations, which will be like card reader installed on top. It can be software problems, which can be either just some virus or deliberate hack. It can be network issues, which will be middle attack, or it can be some sniffing, something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thanks, Andres. Daniel?
Yep. So for integrity, so I had withdrawals executed correctly.
What is executed correctly?
So if I take out $50, then I get $50, and my bank shows that I've taken $50.
Yeah. So I think it's better to put that concrete example in,
okay,
rather than
cool.
rather than us say that executed as expectedly, because we don't know what is expected, right?
Yeah.
So,
no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Any other example of integrity for ATM machine besides like inserting readers like fake reader, or the machine give you more money than you ask for? that is a good integrity violation to have.
I did also have a receipt provided, so like that proves the transaction happened.
Okay. That's good. Okay. Any other example on integrity for ATM machine?
I guess it's also around the machine itself usually runs on an operating system, and these are remotely controlled typically. And around the login credentials of that machine, there could be some integrity issues against what's in the central database and what's being entered by the, let's say, the system to log in using hashing techniques and the likes. That might be a integrity thing.
Yep, I think you're talking about the integrity of a ATM network, of a system as a whole, right? So because from what you're saying, that the ATM need to connect to some database somehow. So the integrity is affecting the entire system. Yeah, I think that is relevant to this access too. But I think a better answer would be more specific to the ATM machine itself. But yeah, that is a valid integrity properties. Right. I think an interesting one is availability, right? Because many people might not think availability is a security properties, but I think is an interesting property to have. So, what do you think pin code availability means? It's a sort of a tricky question here. It's a tricky properties to define. How would you define availability for pin code?
Will we be talking about a physical access to that? So if the physical pin pad wasn't available, wasn't working, the user won't be able to put in their pin code and then access their account essentially.
That is one way, but I think here is asking more for the pin code itself, right? The pin code itself as an entity, not about the pin pad.
That you can actually remember it?
Yep, I was going to say that.
Yep. So yes, that is a very good answer. I think the availability of pin codes mean that it's available when you need it, and when you need the pin code, if you don't remember it, then it's means you have no access to it.
Yeah, I don't know what some people's Friday nights used to be like, but Paywave has still been really good.
Yeah. So you don't need to remember the PIN code anymore. But in this context, yes, availability means this is one case, one good example of availability for PIN codes, but there could be other as well. How about the availability of ATM? Okay, so let's jump to this question. Which security properties do you think is the most important for ATM machine? So among confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which you think is the most important and which one is the least important? Babak, yeah?
I think for an ATM machine, given that it is a business
Yep.
related device,
Mm-hmm.
the availability would be the most important. As I understand, these devices have a primary network and a backup. If I recall, sometime back when Optus had that network issue a few months ago, I remember going to the bank, and Commonwealth Bank had some ATMs. They mentioned that their primary link is on Optus, but they had a secondary on Telstra. Some of them have, let's say, primary on a let's say broadband connection, and other on a 4G connection. So it is important that they address customer requirements. I would go with availability in this case, and
Okay.
probably integrity is the least important.
Oh, okay, integrity. Right. Okay, interesting point. When you mention integrity is the most important. Anyone agree with this? I think it's refreshing. Karen, yeah? Oh no, I think so. Hands go down. But
yeah, sorry, I don't know why. Oh,
Andres,
sorry,
yeah.
someone else take.
Yeah, I would agree that availability is important for machine because for the business at least, even one faulty machine would not probably do as much damage as all network going down for a day on Friday for a bank.
Okay.
But integrity will be the next concern, because if machine is by nature not safe, if there is a problem with the software or with the hardware and they're not mitigated, that can create big losses for the bank, and bank has to address it. Confidentiality probably is would be on a third place. I mean, it probably depends on how do you measure, like where do you put, let's say, machine access, passwords, and stuff like that. Is it integrity or confidentiality part?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Andres. Very good reason. Karen, you
Yeah, hi.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with this. Just maybe like 10 years ago or 5 years ago even, I think availability would have been a big the most serious issue. But now that so few people are actually using ATMs, and yeah, FPOS and just tapping is a much more common use of cards. If an ATM isn't available, it's not necessarily going to lose that bank business or significant business. So I would actually say that availability for an ATM would probably be the least serious one, because there are always alternatives that are more commonly used now. But as far as the most serious, I would probably say it's confidentiality, because people rely on the confidentiality factor to protect their funds. So if a PIN and a card is stolen, then obviously those funds can be accessed and stolen through an ATM. But also integrity, yeah, I'm a bit torn between the two, because obviously integrity can be affected as well if something goes yeah, if the network itself is hacked and funds can be moved around, or there can be the integrity of the machine, I suppose, is better worded. But yeah, if the machine itself can be hacked to change the instructions that are being provided to it, so that those funds are actually transferred to another account, or I don't really know how it works, but yeah, that would be quite serious as well.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you when it comes to integrity, because yeah, I mean, if the code is broken, then that attacker can like do a lot of things. He can withdraw all the money, or he can just transfer all the money to his account, thing like that. And from the customer perspective, it's look quite damaging, quite damaging. Because I mean, if someone can look at my PIN and my account numbers, I mean, they still need access to my card to withdraw money, right? So confidentiality in the sense of account number and PIN, I don't think it's very like immediately dangerous yet. But integrity, if someone can change the logic of the machine, then yeah, I think at least all the amount of money in the machine would be gone by the end of the day. That is my that is my view of it. But Connor, yeah, what is our take on this?
Yeah. Do you mind if I say one for each for all of it? Because it sort of all goes together. So I'm with you there. Like integrity, definitely for the machine, because you want to be certain that the machine's going to do the job that it's designed to do, that it's doing it as you expect it to. The card would be confidentiality, because that's your access point. Like that's what's getting you to your asset, to your money. That's your authentication method, really. Sorry, no, that's your I guess your password, your credentials to go into the system, and then your authentication is actually the PIN code. So the PIN would be your availability. Like you want to have it yourself available, but you also don't want it available to anyone else. So the PIN code is really one that I think is sort of mixed between confidentiality and availability. You want it to be secret, but you want it to be available to only the people who are meant to have the code. So that's how I would break it up.
Okay, but let's take the ATM machine itself. Like of the three property of the ATM: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So you mentioned integrity is most important, but what do you think the thing that is least important, thing that can be sacrificed if I don't have the resource?
For the machine, I think confidentiality, because I don't think confidentiality really applies to an ATM machine. Like it's a device that's going to be shoved into a public domain. We're talking about this is in the context of the machine itself. The wider network, the ATM network and the back end of it, that's a different story. But the actual ATM machine, like, let's be honest, how many times have we gone out and you see one that's absolutely trashed? Someone's tried to have a boxing match with a machine and it doesn't work. Like the confidentiality of it doesn't really exist. It's not a thing that you're keeping secret. You're not locking it behind doors so that no one can see the machine. The machine is designed to be open and public. So
yeah,
it's like a public-facing website.
Okay, so your understanding of the confidentiality here is of the machine itself. Okay, because some other people, like from other discussion, I think their understanding of confidentiality is about the information that displays on the screen, right? The information that is being displayed. So that can be considered as a part of the confidentiality as well. But yeah, I think this is a great point when you consider the ATM machine as a whole, as a subject of confidentiality. So you don't want to hide the, yeah, of course, then if you define confidentiality that way, then it's contradict with availability, right? So if it's hidden, then of course people don't get access to it. Right. Anyone else want to chime in on this question, which is on the ATM machine? When you talk about the access, which is the ATM, which of these three properties are most important and which one is least important? Yeah, so Mayank say that like what if you need cash in hand to pay someone? Okay, so it's more on the availability, and the ATM machine is down. then you could go to the bank too. Marshall, yeah. What is your take on this?
Yeah. So I think I'm more along the lines with what Karen was discussing. I'm looking at not so much the machine, but maybe more all the information that can be gained from it, and that integrity, if that's lost, not only are you losing, withdrawal funds and things like that, but the fines that come through from that as well, government fines can be in the millions, as where availability, if we're looking at the machine, for a business that owns the machine, if one machine's down, like an ATM machine, they can't access it. We do have other alternatives. You can go into Coles and use your card and get some money out.
Yeah.
So the loss there is, maybe reputational, but then it comes down to how quickly can you get that device back up and running, as where integrity, as soon as that's gone, the consequences are quite significant.
Yeah. And I can imagine the bank being sued by got people's, like, people will sue the bank if their monies are gone, or there's some problem with the transaction.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I think we are out of time, but so we will not have time to go to the other table. But thank you everyone for the great discussion. And remember, for filling in table like this, please be specific, like what you are doing right now. Okay, so fill in with some example, with some concrete example, instead of like rephrasing the definition of what confidentiality is, what integrity is, and what availability is. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So thanks everyone. The recording will be available right after this, and I will see you guys next week. Okay. If you have any questions, just let me know. Right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. See you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.